I'm Vero. I am a tenured faculty in the Humanities Department here at Seattle Central College. So I think as the faculty, we've been working toward equity on campus for most of our history, trying to make sure that our faculty make a living wage and are able to survive well and do well and thrive at the college and in their communities. That hasn't been the case for a long time. We have a number of factors that are impacting our faculty. One is because of the neoliberal project that's happening globally. We're privatizing more and more and selling our state-funded institutions and public institutions. You know, we saw it in healthcare, and we're starting to see it in public education. And a lot of the bigger institutions have been able to survive these kinds of massive cuts that have been coming for the last 30 years through private funding. And they're particularly some like the University of Washington, who is a research institution, is able to get grants from sometimes some, really horrible places, and do research for them, and so they're able to stay afloat and pay their faculty fairly well. So that's one of the factors, is that there's been massive cuts in the last 30 years in public education, and community colleges have been at the front of that. So we've been the cuts. We've been at the community college. We've been dealing with the cuts by offsetting our teaching primarily by part-time adjunct faculty. So most of and that's why I introduced myself as tenured faculty, because I think it's a different story for the tenured faculty than it is for the part-time faculty. I was part-time faculty for a number of years, and we were called all sorts of things, and one of the things that we call ourselves, that often part-time faculty call ourselves, is I-5 intellectuals. Because we are constantly on I-5, moving from one institution to another. Currently, community colleges are about 75% part-time faculty who are teaching, right? And so they're teaching here and they're teaching at another institution in order to make a living. And so a lot of stress on part-time faculty. One of the goals of our union in the last number of kind of cycles of contracts has been to make sure that our part-time faculty are paid equitably. I think that no matter what, it just doesn't happen, because one is that there's massive cuts, and then the other one is because we've been underfunded, much like all public education has been underfunded for the last 30 years or so. So our part-time faculty, in order to make a living, are constantly sort of hustling, and and that's, I think that stress is, you see it in the classroom consistently. So that's, they're just tremendously overworked, and many faculty are teaching 2 classes here and 2 classes at Shoreline or at other places, and that has to have a lot of wear and tear. And of course, what happens is that they're also not able to really be present on campus to fight for their rights. And so that equals all sorts of things also. The final thing, of course, is that Seattle Central is specifically problematic because we're at the center of the city that is being gentrified. I could probably safely say, without necessarily looking at numbers, but I have looked at the numbers, and none of our faculty, including our tenured faculty, can afford to live in Capitol Hill. So maybe we could rent an apartment, maybe in one of those pod apartments, but most of us can't live here. So most of us have to commute, and we commute a fair amount. So I have colleagues who commute from Burien because that's what they can afford, or Tukwila. So we can't live in the area where we work, which makes it also, again, we're less on campus because we have to because the commute is so heavy for us, that again, we disengage from the campus, and that makes it difficult for us to organize. So for the last few years, because of all of these kinds of stressors, we've been demanding. We demand from the administration that we get equitable pay. We're the tenured faculty at Seattle Central are the least paid in the entire district, not district, the entire city, in the Puget Sound area. And so, tenured faculty who are teaching at Olympic College, are making more than tenured faculty here at Seattle Central, when we have to pay to live in the city, which is, again, just for many of us beyond our means. Tenured faculty have to have other jobs, and they're teaching here full time, and they teach in other places. So all of those stressors have made it so that whenever we have a conversation about what the root problems are, we come back to the legislation. We come back to the folks in Olympia who are underfunding public education as a whole. And so that's our goal for next Tuesday, is for us to really let them know, one, it's twofold, I think. One is to let ourselves know how important we are, and to remind ourselves that we do the work every day for our students, and we're committed to them, and we're willing to be underpaid because we love the work, but we shouldn't be. And so it's a reminder for us as a collective faculty and staff. We are asking for the students to come with us, because I think the students also see the stressors of what it means to have a school that's underfunded. They see the stressors on their faculty, they see the stressors on the staff, and they see it on the campus as a whole, the way the campus looks. We're not like high tech, and we're not, we don't, many of our lights don't work, and sometimes the bathrooms aren't clean, and we can go on. So our staff, our faculty, and our students are all heavily impacted by the low funding. And so we want to take Tuesday to demand that they not take us for granted, that we do the everyday work of this college, and we need to be paid accordingly. So, I think one of the things that the students need to be aware of is that our primary focus is the student, and that for many of us, equitable pay is not just so that we can, afford to live a little bit closer to campus, or remotely live a life where we can live out our intellectual projects. That's one of the things that so many of us are working so many hours in order to make ends meet, that we're unable to do our intellectual work. And so so that ends up translating to the curriculum on for students. So we really want students to understand that it impacts them, their everyday, in a huge way, if their faculty are paid equitably, and are able to have time to do their intellectual work. They'll see that in the classroom, and they already do, but at a cost to us. And so I think that students sort of need to be aware of how stressed faculty are, and I think Tuesday will be a reminder of that we're not that we love our work, but that we're stressed not because of students, but because we are living underfunded times. These are times where students can really come to consciousness about the fact that they're going to be going to a job themselves very soon. Many of them are already working. We know that from our students, right? But many of them are going to be entering professional jobs, hopefully in the public sector, and they need to learn the lessons of how to demand the public sector to be well funded. And these are issues of our times. It is right now where we are make or break. We've been at the neoliberal project where everything has been privatized for the last 30 years, and students are feeling it. As they graduate from here, will they be able to do the work they want to do? Will they be able to become filmmakers? Is there enough public funding, for the arts so that they're able to do that work? And so I think that students, this is a great opportunity for students to learn how is it that you make your voice heard. And so one, show up, because I think coming to campus on that day and meeting us, we're meeting outside in Red Square, and we're gonna have speakers, and just being there and being in the atmosphere, asking questions. And the other thing that I would love for students to do is to ask their faculty questions about their working conditions, about what it means to be an intellectual in an underfunded institution. What does it mean to be a part-time faculty at institutions that are underfunded and therefore unable to really sustain their intellectual work, and their pedagogical work. In other words, they're teaching in a kind of a full way. So this is a good time for students to ask questions and really learn from this. We want you to learn from everything because that's what we do, but this is a good one for you to learn from. So I'd ask for students to ask questions, ask a lot of questions right now. So I'll take this opportunity to give a shout out to the facilities folks. I think that a lot of times, we think about faculty and we think about the staff people, and we forget the people who pick up all of our garbage. And we forget those folks who clean our floors, who, I see them every morning, and I wonder how many people say hello to them or say thank you to them. And I'm just going to take this opportunity to thank them for everything they do, for cleaning the floors and making this campus within the limits of this campus, right? Because this campus, has few resources, we know that. And they make the best of it. And, I'd like to ask students to be really, really kind to them, pick up after yourself, and when you see them, say thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Yeah.